Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and thank you to the Austin AI Film Festival for having us. My name is Chris First, and I'm here on behalf of Minimax. So today I'm going to walk you through some key aspects of our technology here at Hailuo, specifically how we're pushing the boundaries of AI-generated video. I'll start with a brief tech overview, covering the basics of text-to-video and image-to-video generation, the core engines behind our platform. Then we'll dive into some more advanced control features like our director models and subject reference, which give you more creative control over your generations. After that, I'll share some practical tips for creating videos, and of course, if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them after. So currently with our models, we offer 720p videos at 25 frames per second and up to 6 seconds in length. You can do this either using our text-to-video model or our image-to-video model, both of which have a director model for more refined and controllable outputs. We also offer something we call subject reference, subject to video. This is where you can upload a single reference image of a person, and our model will generate dynamic videos while maintaining their likeness. It's a powerful tool, especially for consistent character generation. Now, since we're at the Austin AI Film Festival, I'm going to share a little secret. Later this month, now probably early April, we'll be launching our 1080p model that'll be 12 seconds long in generation. Thank you. To start, this will be available with our core models only, text-to-video and image-to-video, so you can immediately begin generating HD content down the line. And with these are variations of our core models, designed to give you more control and creative flexibility. First, we have our text-to-video director and image-to-video director models. These models come with camera control features, allowing you to reduce random camera movement, meaning every frame stays much closer to your creative vision. This higher level of control enables you to craft more precise, deliberate, and cinematic storytelling. Then there's our image-to-video live. This model is designed to breathe life into 2D illustrations with smooth and vivid motion. i2V01 Live is optimized for stability and subtle expression, allowing for fluid, lifelike animations while preserving your original art style. And we also just launched our text-to-image model, which is available now on our website and coming to our app in a later date. This means you can generate high-quality images in a wide range of styles from text prompts, then seamlessly transform those images into dynamic videos using our image-to-video model. It's a powerful workflow for creators. We also just launched our mobile app on both iOS and Android, bringing our entire toolkit to your phone. And I'll be honest, our mobile site was not the greatest at first, a bit clunky at times, but this app is a major, major improvement in both efficiency and ease of use. The interface is cleaner, the workflow is smoother, and everything just works better. If you're someone who likes to create on the go, this app makes that process much more seamless. And I'll bring this up again at the end if you want to download the app. With Hailuo, you can create epic scenes that capture the grandeur of large-scale action, with cinematic visuals that feel straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. You can create love stories that capture the depth of emotion with characters whose faces tell the story for you, which is a little brighter, but you can create animations full of vibrant, fun characters and detailed worlds that are as imaginative and beautiful as the work from major animation studios. And you can create retro sitcoms with a little twist that capture the charm and warmth and nostalgia of classic television shows from the past. You can create anything you can imagine, and the best part is you do not need to be a professional prompter to do it. So I'll just show you some epic scenes to start off. Pretty epic. Thank you. So now let's talk text-to-video. Currently, we have two text-to-video models, T2V01 and T2V01 Director. T2V01 offers high compression rates, excellent text responsiveness, and a wide range of diverse styles. To start, we'll focus on T2V01, and then we'll dive into our director models a little bit later. Take a look at this scene set in ancient Rome. Notice how the characters don't just look like AI generations, they feel human. The wrinkles on the man's forehead, his cheeks, the visible pores on his neck, even the rough stubble on the man to the left. These kind of micro details that bring a scene to life, making it feel tangible and authentic. And what's even more remarkable is this scene was generated with a simple 3-sentence prompt. You still get an incredible depth of field, human-like texture, and cinematic composition. Another thing our model does exceptionally well is capturing atmosphere and lighting. This example demonstrates beautifully. Take a look at how the light of the lanterns reflects off the rippled water surface. There's a real sense of movement and texture happening, almost as if you can feel the environment. What's even more impressive is the way the model handles light interaction. The warm glow of the lantern softly illuminates the subject's garments, wrapping around the fabric and creating natural-looking highlights and shadows. And here's a really fun example that shows off just how well the model understands context and creative direction. I created this scene of chimpanzees working on a car in a mechanic shop. But what's interesting is how accurately the model captured my specific instructions. In my prompt, I simply wrote, chimpanzee smiling, working on a car. They are wearing clothes of a mechanic shop employee. Another chimp wearing matching clothes in the background with a clipboard. Detailed scene, cluttered shop. And the result, not only did they get the chimp in the foreground working on the car just right, but it also got the chimp in the background wearing the same matching uniform, holding a clipboard just as I described. Even the shop itself feels authentic, with cluttered, believable environment that you'd see in a real mechanic shop. And you can even make people believe that UFOs are flying over New York City with the new sticker I added in post. So I'm from New York, and I actually made this video around the time everyone was talking about the UFOs over in New Jersey. What really surprised me, though, is that a lot of people believed that was real, and it did like 2 million views on Instagram. It was actually ridiculous. But be creative and have fun. Not everything you create needs to be serious or high concept. Sometimes the best things you can do are just play around and tell jokes. I found whenever I hit a creative block, I'm struggling to come up with a more serious story. I always have fun, or I can find a funny story to tell instead. And a lot of those goofs end up resonating with people. There's something about making lighthearted, ridiculous, over-the-top content that frees you up creatively. It helps you break through that block, often leading to other ideas down the road. So don't be afraid, get silly, experiment, or make something totally absurd, because you never know which one of those ideas might actually turn into a project. Now I'm going to talk about prompt coherence, another one of our model's standout strengths. One of the most challenging aspects of text-to-video generation is getting a model to accurately follow complex prompts, especially when those prompts contain multiple specific elements. But this is where our model really shines. They are exceptionally good at not only understanding your prompt, but also faithfully reproducing intricate details, whether it's colors, objects, or even small stylistic choices. To demonstrate this, I prepared a prompt that deliberately contains several distinct elements in different colors, objects, contexts. This is the kind of prompt that would typically trip up most generators, but let's see how Hailuo handles it. Now, ridiculous, I know, but our generation got it right. Here you can see the result. He's reading the book. He's wearing the top hat with a red shirt on. His feet are up, sitting in a chair at a desk. Blue jeans, white sneakers, exactly as I requested. And on the desk, a yellow rotary phone, a green binder. The background, a snowy suburban backyard visible through the windows. What's really impressive is that I didn't use any sort of technical prompt engineering to get that result. No convoluted phrasing, no special syntax, just simple, natural language. And yet Hailuo named every single detail. Now, let's take a look at what other models have done. As you can see, the models aren't as precise. One model might give us 2 phones or mix up the clothing. Some elements just don't line up with the prompt. While these models are impressive in their own ways, the level of coherence we have with our models is very impressive. And it just gets it right the first time. So now I'm going to talk about image to video. So image to video, we have 3 models currently, each giving you different flexibility to bring your images to life. The first one, i2v01, is a solid all-around model that's great for turning any static image into a dynamic video. Whether it's a photo, generated image, or concept design, i2v01 can animate it smoothly, convincingly, and it's fast, versatile, delivering consistently high-quality results. Then I have i2v01 Live, which is something special that brings 2D illustrations to life. Whether you're an illustrator, animator, or storyteller, this model gives you the power to breathe life into your art in a way that feels genuinely cinematic. And finally, there's i2v01 Director. This model gives you the same level of camera control as our text-to-video director model, meaning you could define specific camera movements like pans, tilts, zooms, and tracking shots directly from your image prompt. It's perfect for when you want an animation to have a cinematic storyboarded feel. But first, I want to show you i2v01 in action. Here I generated an image of a teddy bear walking through the snow, and I animated it using i2v01, using this prompt. Teddy bear walks through the snow, leaving footprints in the snow. And you can see the footprints being left behind and the snow being moved as the teddy bear walks through it. You could also bring something as scenic as a boat sailing off the Amalfi Coast to life. Even without using director model, it still understood my camera direction perfectly. Camera follows the boat as it sails into the water. And this is an image I made with Google Image Gen 3 and animated it using i2v01, a simple image-to-video prompt. Plus, what's really impressive is that without a prompt at all, our models can understand and bring a scene to life. You can just upload an image and let the model do its thing. You can see the details like the person's chest breathing as they lay in the bed. Now I'm going to talk about director models. We have two director models. We've built two specialized models designed to give you much greater control over your visual output, text-to-video director and image-to-video director. What makes both of these models special is their ability to significantly reduce random camera movement. This means when you envision a specific camera motion, the model will follow with incredible accuracy, ensuring that every frame aligns with your creative intent. This level of control is especially critical for projects that demand deliberate, cinematic camera movements. Whether you're aiming for a smooth tracking shot, a subtle dolly cam, or other stylistic effects, these models help you achieve that with less guesswork. You can either select individual movements or combine up to 3 movements to create incredibly dynamic cinematic shots. This gives you full creative control of how your shot unfolds, whether it's a pan, a dramatic push-in, or a complex multi-axis movement. Within director mode, there are 2 menus to be working with, free selection and cinematic shots. Free selection gives you a library of single camera movements like tilts, pans, and zooms, and you can apply those individually or combine them to create layered, complex shots. You can also preview any movement just by hovering over it with your mouse or tapping on it in the app. This makes it easy to experiment and visualize stuff for those that are not familiar with these type of movements. And what's really exciting about director mode is that you're not limited to using a single camera movement for an entire shot. You can actually combine different camera movements in different sections of your prompt, allowing you to create seamless transitions from one part of a scene to another. For example, in this prompt, I combined a tracking shot with a tilt up. The video starts with a construction worker walking through a job site, and then the tilt up reveals a large crane towering overhead. This subtle camera movement not only captures the scope of the scene, but also acts as a natural transition, one that can lead to another part of the story or foreshadow something important later on. The second menu is cinematic shots, offering a curated selection of pre-styled camera movements designed specifically to get a cinematic look right out of the door. Stuff like downward tilt or right circling, and all of these camera controls are available in our image-to-video model as well. i2v01 Director is our image-to-video director model, and it gives you direct camera control of your image generations. This is our newest release, so we put a quick video together to show you. Sweet. Thank you. Here's one of the cinematic shots applied to an image of a king seated on his throne. This particular shot, called Debut, combines 3 dynamic camera movements, a truck left, a push in, and a pan right, creating a powerful and immersive video effect. And here's another cinematic shot. This particular one, called Upward Lift, combines 2 movements, a push in, and a pedestal up. One more video. i2v01 Live is our model for 2D animations, and we have another quick video to show you quickly. Cool. As I mentioned earlier, i2v01 Live was specifically designed to bring 2D illustrations into life that feels dynamic and authentic. In this shot, we see a city backdrop moving quickly and blurred, giving the scene a sense of speed and energy. What's really impressive here is that despite the motion blur in the background, the style of the original image remains consistent throughout. The fast movement of the city does not disrupt the artistic integrity or visual style of your reference image. This means that the model can handle high-speed action while maintaining the unique aesthetic of your artwork. Additionally, notice how the objects in the far distance move slower than the objects closer. This is creating that true sense of motion that adds layer of depth to a scene. And in this example, you can see how the model understands layers of a shot. Notice where the flashlight is positioned in the scene. It shines behind the objects in the foreground, creating a beautiful sense of depth. This is an excellent example of how our model doesn't just place elements randomly, it carefully considers its relationship between objects in the scene to create a more realistic composition. Everything brought to life in just two sentences. Now, this is my favorite feature, subject reference. What makes subject reference so impressive is how incredibly easy it is to use. In most other applications, if you wanted to generate a realistic video of yourself or any specific person, you typically have to upload dozens, sometimes hundreds of images to train a model. It's a long and tedious process. But with subject reference, you only need a single image. Just upload one clear photo of yourself, a friend, or any person you want to feature, and the model will generate realistic lifelike videos that look like them. It's a game changer for creators, filmmakers, or anyone who wants to incorporate specific people into their video content without the hassle of extensive model training. Currently, there is no director model available for subject to video, but you can still use natural language prompting to direct your generations. Let me show you what the demonstration video. Sweet. Let's use subject reference to put me in jail. What's amazing here is how the character's face remains consistent as it moves behind the bars. Despite the change in perspective, the model seamlessly keeps the details and features of the generated character's face intact, even as it moves through the scene. Or this is me now floating through space in zero gravity, which is one single reference image. You can put yourself anywhere. You don't need a green screen, fancy camera setups, or complicated VFX. You can just upload a photo of yourself, describe the scene you want, and suddenly you're in space. We also have a feature called subject reference effects. Sometimes it's hard to think about where you would want to put yourself in. These are basically pre-made situations that you can easily place yourself into without needing to design a complicated prompt from scratch. It's a super fun tool, less about creating full films and more about creating playful, stylized scenes. Here are some of the available subject reference effects built in. What I really like about it, though, is that when you select an effect, it actually shows you the full prompt that was used to create it. There's no mystery behind how the effect was made, so if you see one you love, you can study a prompt, tweak it, or even use it as inspiration for a different project. I know there's some other services that have similar features, but usually they just give you a preset called Explode without ever revealing the prompt behind it. But with this, you get full transparency, so not only can you use the effect, but you can also learn from it. Here's Office Fire, inspired by the cartoon dog sitting at his desk saying, "This is fine." The prompt, the camera slowly rises in front of a desk, capturing the person sitting behind the computer on the desk. Behind the person, the office is engulfed in roaring flames, with some scraps of paper flooding around the room. As the camera moves in, it focuses on the person in front of the computer, revealing the blurred flames in the background of the house. The person in front of the computer, with their face illuminated by the glow of the computer screen, appears calm and smiling while typing on a keyboard. Or put yourself on a horse with cowboy in the snow. And a cowboy rides a horse through a snowy landscape with a rifle on him. He wears a wide-brimmed hat and old worn-out clothes. In the distance behind him, there are towering spruce forests, and behind them, a snow-capped mountain. The ground is covered with pristine white snow, and the cowboy slowly rides through the cold wilderness. He stares ahead, looking resolute and brave. And cool guys don't look at explosions with undercover operation. So lame. There are some image-to-video effects available too. This one's called Flaming Skull. the prompt, flames erupt from beneath the character's neck, rising upwards, engulfing their entire head. The figure's facial features start to transform, revealing a skeletal structure beneath. The skin continues to burn away. The figure's face morphs into a terrifying skeletal appearance. It's always good to read them because it helps you understand the model and make your own prompts from that. And this one's easy. It's Kung Fu. Just type in Kung Fu, fighting quick, jumping kicks. It's always a little hard. So here's some tips. Let's talk video styles. I didn't know where to include this in the presentation either earlier or now, but I figured this might be better for here. In this case, I simply prompted a fisheye lens. The model instantly understood what I meant, creating that distorted, ultra-wide perspective you'd expect from a real fisheye camera. What's really cool is about how accurately it captures the curved distortion you get with a fisheye lens, where the edges of the frame bend dramatically, exaggerating the space, making everything feel larger than life. It's the same kind of effect you'd see in skate videos, music videos, or extreme sports footage. Another great example is macro lenses. I simply prompted for a close-up macro shot of a flower with a bumblebee on it, and the results capture the hyper-detailed, intimate look you'd expect from a real macro lens. You can see the subtle movement of the flower petal, adding just the right amount of natural motion, making it feel alive. And the prompt is just 2 sentences: a close-up of a bumblebee on a flower petal, shot on macro lens. And you can also capture very specific cinematic styles. In this case, a 1950s film noir. The prompt I used was a black and white noir film from the 1950s. A detective wearing a hat walks down the street at night as it's raining. Cinematic, background out of focus. And instantly it understood what I was going for. Not just the visual content, but the mood and atmosphere of a classic noir cinema. The heavy rain, the dramatic lighting, and the deep shadows, it really nails the old school detective film look. You can even mimic vlog-style shots where someone's holding the camera. The effect gives you that personal handheld feel that's common in vlogs and casual video updates. But the beauty of this is that you can rework it into an entirely different project. For example, let's say you want to create a found footage horror film. You can take that same handheld vlog-style shot and tweak the prompt to fit a darker, more intense tone of horror. Suddenly, that casual vlog shot turns into a found footage horror scene, and the dim lighting and shaky camera add to that tension, making it feel like you're right there with the character, experiencing the fear as the monster rises behind them. The flexibility is huge. You can just take a simple shot and with a few tweaks to a prompt, rework it into something entirely different. Whether it's a horror scene, thriller, suspenseful moment, you can adapt and mold footage to fit any style or narrative. And if you want to reimagine a scene, this is something I did with a project called The Pawfist. I remade The Office with a dog, like animals. I was not allowed to show that here, but it's a really good video. But here's how you could do it with something else. If you want to take a screenshot from something you'd like to reference or an image you have, take that image and head over to ChatGPT and upload it. You can then use, like this is my image I used. I'll come to ChatGPT and prompt, create a prompt for an AI text-to-video program to recreate this scene. Describe it visually in detail, including the lighting, set, and character appearance. This program does not do audio, so do not describe any sound. That was an issue that happens when you just don't include that. It'll just include a bunch of like other descriptors for audio, and that will take away from your prompt that you're trying to fit. You can take the prompt and then bring it to our models to generate your video. And what you'll get is a visually consistent recreation that captures the same structure as that original video, original image. And now that prompt that I generated was a little longer than those other ones, but yeah, it's a little longer. But that's like the prompt I got from that program. And now let's talk about workarounds. Sometimes you're making a video, it's not always a straight path. You'll be on a creative roll, generating clips, building momentum, and then suddenly something holds you up. A perfect example of this is when I was working on a project called The Galactians, which I know a few people actually saw. It was a sitcom television show intro spoof that I was experimenting with. A lot of my ideas start from a single frame like this, and it happens all the time when I'm trying to come up with a new video idea. I'll have a generalized concept floating in my head, but all it takes is one clip to snowball the entire project. That one image or scene suddenly unlocks a full story in my mind. This clip right here was actually one of the first videos I ever made using Hailuo. And the prompt was really simple. A 1970s sitcom television show, an alien woman picks up a newspaper, then waves at the camera, front porch. And that's it, just one long sentence, no hyper-detailed 1,000-word prompt, yet Hailuo gave me exactly what I was looking for, a lifelike visual and a precise style that I imagined. But when I got to this shot, I loved it. The two characters standing side by side, both facing the camera, already looked perfect. But what was impressive was how the model intuitively matched their features. Since they're supposed to be father and son, it was a nice touch that they added matching bathrobes, made them look the same, And that kind of thought of visual consistency was something that I didn't expect. However, there was one issue that I ran into, was the TV in the background. It wasn't right for a bathroom scene. It just pulled me out of the scene a bit, and I knew I wanted something different. So I tried regenerating this scene from the same prompt, hoping I'd get a similar version without the TV, but no matter how many times I kind of ran it, I just couldn't get this exact shot that I loved. So what I did was really simple. I went back to my original video and found the shot I wanted, took a high-resolution screenshot, and then I brought that into Photoshop. Using generative fill, I removed that from the backdrop. I re-brought that back into Hailuo and used our image-to-video model to bring it to life. So don't give up on a generation if something isn't 100% perfect. You know, filmmaking isn't always a straightforward process. Sometimes when you're out shooting, you'll nail a shot on one take and think, wow, that's it, this is the shot. And then other times you'll get the perfect shot only to realize that someone left a Starbucks cup on the set and you gotta take that out. But yeah, so our app is now officially on the App Store. Everything I talked about here today, every feature, every tool that gives you creative control is now right at your fingertips. With the app, you get access to our full suite of powerful tools, including our text-to-video models. You've seen firsthand how easily you can generate high-quality cinematic videos from nothing other than a short text prompt, capturing complex scenes, studying depth of field, and lifelike characters with just a few simple lines of text. You also have access to our image-to-video models, allowing you to bring still images to life with smooth, realistic motion, whether it's turning a sketch into a dynamic animation or creating a seamless video from a reference image. You can create movement, emotion, and story from a single frame. And then there's subject reference. This feature allows you to take a single photo of yourself or anyone else and seamlessly insert that subject into generated videos, with the model maintaining facial consistency so it looks like you every time. It's perfect for creating personalized content, concept films, or even turning yourself into a character within your own creative projects. Our director models, where you have full camera control over your shots. With free selection, you can combine up to 3 different camera movements, allowing you to create intricate, multi-dimensional shots exactly how you imagine them. And if you prefer instant cinematic quality, the Cinematic Shots menu gives you pre-stylized camera movements that look professional from the moment you hit generate. So whether you want a smooth dolly in, a dramatic crane shot, or a high-energy handheld effect, this app is designed to be a creative accelerator, something that helps kickstart your ideas and turn them into fully realized video concepts, faster than ever before. Whether you're working on a film, a concept trailer, a music video, or just creating for fun, everything we talked about today is available in your hands, on your phone, anytime. I can't wait to see what you all create with it. I just want to give a huge thank you to Austin AI Film Festival for putting this together. It's really amazing to be a part of this space and being so early on in the space. If you'd like to connect with any of us, with Hailuo, we'll be at our table over there. You can find me online at Chris First. I run a generative AI community on X. I'm always happy to chat, collaborate, or answer any questions. I'll be around for the rest of the day and on another panel at, I think, 3:15 for monetization and distribution. So thank you very much, and I can't see what you guys create with this.
Thank you guys if you're just joining us. This is our second tech panel of the day. I am joined by Alex from Higgsfield AI. They're a proud sponsor of this festival. We are so grateful to have them supporting us, to have them here today, showing off their great technology. And I'm going to give it to Alex, and he's going to go from here.
Thank you very much.
Let's give him a hand.
Thank you.
Yeah. We good? Mike?
It sounds good? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for inviting me here. It is a great honor to present to you. I probably have a slightly different background than most of people in the audience, as I have engineering backgrounds. And it is a very long journey for me in video generative AI. I started working in this space back in 2016. You probably remember the output was really small. It was just images 64 pixels by 64 pixels. But back then, I saw that, wow, AI can create something which didn't exist before. And clearly, I saw that, I kind of believe that the quality of the technology is going to keep improving. And it's really exciting that today, 2025, we're already seeing short films, and I think we are progressing to a new form of media. And I wanted to share my journey and how we are enabling this future with Higgsfield. So very short introduction about myself. I did my previous company, which enabled this face, and this eventually sold it to Snapchat, and it enabled these funny face filters. So these face filters, they went viral on social media. Definitely people love to share this with their friends. This helped teenagers a lot with self-expressions, reached billions of people throughout the world. In the same time, it didn't necessarily help people to tell their stories. And most of the content on the internet, on social media, is still content about humans themselves. Although when we look into Netflix, when we go to movie theaters, we're seeing completely different type of stories. And we believe that the next form of social media content is going to be enabled by generative AI. So we specifically focused on creating content for social media across various different use cases, starting from the entertainment space. And we are already seeing that AI-generated videos outperform non-AI-generated videos on social media. Obviously, we all know that cost efficiency in AI video creation is drastic. I mean, we can see costs being 10, 20, 100 times lower compared to live action production. Moreover, and most importantly, the engagement rates, and we measure CPM, we measure CTR, click-through rates, we measure completion rates for AI-generated videos versus non-AI-generated videos, and the AI-generated videos consistently outperform non-AI-generated videos. And I think we are all living through this exciting era where new form of media is going to be created. And I want to very quickly kind of share my view of the media evolution throughout time. So obviously, color TV was invented, and large TV networks were created around that time, like ABC. And then internet's connection bandwidth was improving, and we had an evolution from websites like Yahoo to social media, photo sharing social media like Facebook and Instagram, then to YouTube and Netflix, which is about video streaming. And eventually, TikTok enabled the recent revolution. It happened just within 2 years, and now TikTok is the leading social media platform throughout the world and in the United States. And since I was in Snapchat, I can share with you that we did a research, and as of 2023, teenagers spend more time on TikTok than on Instagram and Snapchat combined. And we believe that the next form of media is going to be AI-generated, and doing our best so that Higgsfield enables this form. And we know that the revolution in the video space takes a little bit more time than in text space, simply because video is the most data-consuming domain. It just requires more token to generate an output. I know that there are lots of creators who I met a lot of amazing creators who could be making millions of dollars a year in Hollywood, but they decided to be pioneer and kind of push the forefront of video creation, and this is exciting. That's why it's so exciting for me to be presenting here. And yeah, this is another very bullish chart, which basically shows that the video already makes 80% of content on the internet, and half of this content is going to be AI generated. Lots of people make these claims, and we know that Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, said that very soon every pixel on the internet is going to be generated, not rendered, generated. So I think that's, we'll see that most of the content on the internet is actually going to be AI-generated video, and we expect that's going to happen by 2030 or probably even earlier. So there is this empirical law which shows that the quality of, which actually shows the progression. So when I started to work on image and video generation, there were these very simple models, generative adversarial networks, and then they kept improving. There were models like Pix-to-Pix, Stack, generative adversarial networks. Then we have seen Imagen from Google, and technology keeps improving. And today we're already at the moments where AI-generated videos can consistently create, AI-generated videos can consistently outperform on social media, and by the end of the decade, I think we will get to longer form, like 1 hour long videos, which are at 8K resolution, which are competitive with traditional movies and TV. So since my time back at Snapchat and my 10-year experience in social media, I learned that all captivating stories, they have a character. So for us, the main priority is to enable creation of this new form of long-form videos, not just 5–10 second long, but really think about that as enabling script writers to transform their scripts to videos. When I met with executives from like multiple production studios, Sony, and so on, we constantly heard the same stories that maybe less than 1% of all scripts which they acquire get visualized. And I think generative AI is just gonna enable imagination of people to come true. And that's why we developed the reasoning engine, which actually helps to achieve consistency of long videos, and videos can be as long as 15 minutes long. And also this system makes basic camera operator work on behalf of the user, right? And this process is similar to Copilots, where each aspect of production is sort of enhanced by AI agents. And these AI agents, they combine imaging, some of them have text generation capabilities, some image generation capabilities, and most importantly, video understanding capabilities as well. So let me very quickly show you one example of the workflow. So it really started, so the way how social media creators work is that they first need to figure out the object of a story. It's either can be a brand or a character. This is stage number one. Then typically they have a creative brief. So then they enter a creative brief into Higgsfield AI system, and as a stage number 3, AI agents create full script. This script can be 1 page long, 2 pages long, depending on the length of the video. Then this script is transformed into a storyboard. And we know that's actually across advertising agencies, and they do use storyboards a lot to actually align on the narrative of the final video. And then our system also enables generation of all the best models, including best-in-class models on the market like Kling and Minimax, to all-in-one interface to generate the final video. And also we develop integration with voiceover models and audio generation models so that the video like that can be generated in a system within a few hours, which is a huge unlock compared to traditional social media production. Yes, so another very important aspect is that we have our own model, which is the best for character consistency throughout the video. We make sure we enhanced our agents to extend video duration up to 15 minutes, and we are developing new methods for open source models fine-tuning. And if some of you is interested in open source models fine-tuning, or if you have specific use cases where, let's say, Minimax or Kling don't provide enough methods of control, like, for example, some complex camera movements, please reach out to me. I will have either here in person or via email. We're developing now Pro functionality, which gives more control for more advanced creators as well. So this is related, by the way, to the next. Related to the next panel, which is about monetization for AI creators. Let me maybe. So we know that historically there are 3 pieces in the equation. So one is fellow creators, second is technology platform, and third is distribution. So, and I was definitely always looking, what are the platforms, what are distribution platforms which need AI videos today? And we know that historically, entertainment space is adopting AI technologies faster than any other area, than any other industry. So, and we realize, and this is fascinating to me, that actually short-form drama market is the fastest growing consumer entertainment market today. So it's growing 10 times year over year. Today, it's $2 billion in Western countries, $5 billion in China. And basically, this is form of content which brings soap operas, but to mobile phone. Let me very quickly show you a sample of an AI-generated drama. So we already have been piloting these dramas at the scale of, and we got a scale of tens of thousands of users within our own application, tens of millions of views on social media, and this allowed us to get these critical learnings and see that AI-generated videos outperform non-AI-generated videos. And actually, there are bigger players on the markets, including a company called Hailuo, which we are proud to partner with. This is the largest drama producer outside of China, and they actually already provide revenue-sharing models for AI creators. And I think we're going to see more and more probably, like, let's say, niche consumer entertainment applications, which are direct to consumer. So there is less validation periods, there is faster production flow, where AI can unlock completely new mediums. And when I talk about that, like what you have seen is more like a live-action drama, but also we know that there are limitless opportunities which AI can unlock, as looking at the best booksellers, fantasy dramas, true crime dramas, and vampire dramas are really popular. It's not possible to make it with live-action production due to its cost and production time, and AI can easily enable that. And we are actually taking our learnings from the entertainment space and enabling now a wider range of social media creators to make their own, let's say, advertisements or video for social media. Like, this is an example of a video which was generated which was created at Higgsfield AI out of the box, and which is featuring a luxury bag. And I want to very quickly show you a demo of a platform which walks through its capabilities and the workflow again. Let me please play this video for you.
This is Higgsfield, your all-in-one studio, where an agentic workflow orchestrates the best open-source models, ensuring the highest level of control and consistency. It begins with our AI screenwriting agent. Just provide a prompt, and it crafts a screenplay, whether it's a faithful adaptation of your vision or a new narrative generated on the spot. Next, our AI director agent steps in. It interprets your screenplay, assembling a preliminary draft of shots for it. And if a shot needs tweaking, our intuitive tools let you fine-tune every detail until it aligns perfectly with your vision. Finally, AI animation breathes life into every frame, transforming static images into dynamic, cinematic motion. Higgsfield streamlines every stage of the creative process into one seamless, efficient tool. And this is only the beginning. Higgsfield is constantly expanding the boundaries of what's possible. Welcome to the future of storytelling. Welcome to Higgsfield.
And so also we know that there is the organic social media marketing is booming. You know that TikTok creator economy is booming. There is now a marketplace to hire TikTok micro-influencers all within one platform. And we are constantly seeing new forms of social media content being enabled. Now there are many POV videos on TikTok where people share their own opinion about the products, which is an organic marketing for these products. But there are also some brands which already developed their own IP, and I think we're going to see more and more brands developing their own IP. One of these brands is Crypto.com. They're also an investor in a company, and this is a sample video which was created with our platform for them. And I think this is just an example of how we envision the future of new social media formats enabled by video generative AI. Everything is generated with AI. Like, none of this video had a lot of post-production. Typically, cost of each video is less than maybe $200. So it didn't involve any professional post-production at all. So we envision that more and more brands are going to enable their own IP they're going to leverage their IP more efficiently. They're going to create their own animated series. They're going to be able to create their music videos with AI, which is simply impossible today with traditional methods, as traditional methods take a lot of time and it's really costly. And we are really excited to see that some maybe like more premium media agencies and brands are also looking into video generative AI and trying to tell their unique stories, unique vision using generative AI as well. Maybe the last slide and the last opportunity which I want to share with you is is applications in Hollywood. So as I mentioned, in Hollywood there is definitely sort of a problem that the final movie is sort of hit or miss, and it's hard to predict the success of the movie based just on a script. So AI can do a great job in visualization of scripts. And we are already seeing great applications not only in VFX, and we know that there are lots of companies which pursue VFX markets, including Runway and Stability, but also in documentaries. So in this specific case, we partner with Buzzless Production Studio. This is a leading production studio in Hollywood. They made several blockbusters. Several of their movies made over 300 million box office, and they're working on a documentary which tells a story of how AI was originally developed. And originally, AI was developed during World War II. Neuropsychiatrists across Soviet Union and France collaborated as they have been studying how brains of injured people actually works. And they discovered that there are some hallucinations at how people think, and they were discovering how different parts of brain function together. And all this research led to further commercial applications in Harvard in 1960s and 1970s, and then Canadian School of Science in 1990s, including Jeffrey Hinton, adopted this into math research, and then people like Ilya Sutskever obviously brought it to production at OpenAI. So this is a story which this movie tells, and our technology was used to visualize certain settings, in this case specifically in Soviet Union settings. Just want to show you a few samples. To achieve that, we had to fine-tune the model specifically on Soviet archives.
You will have 90 minutes to complete the test. Once you are finished, I will ask follow-up questions. No talking, no cheating. Comrade Levsisetsky, and you're sure your solution is correct?
Yes. If x1 equals minus p plus the square root of p squared minus 4 times q, all divided by 2, and x2 equals minus p.
Enough, that'll do, comrade. Remember, comrades, fire the trucker, keep your eyes on your notebook. Do not think I don't see.
So this is one sample in a classroom, and this is another sample at the war. Thank you so much. Again, if you are interested in creator monetization opportunities, including this short-form drama space, happy to chat about that. And also, if you are a professional creator and you don't feel that existing tools like Minimax or Kling satisfy your needs and you need more methods of control, please also feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.
Hello. Okay. Hi. My name is Tuhin. I work at Luma. I lead the design team there. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about what the company does, a little bit about the background of the company, and then spend most of the time in our product, Dream Machine. Show you kind of a little bit of the basics, features that are not known, a little bit about the design philosophy, and what kind of workflows are we actually trying to like really inspire people to be doing. And we're going to do that. The other part is we're going to do all of this live. There is no presentation. So feel free to interject, ask questions. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to stop me if something was not clear, repeat. It's not pre-produced, so you'll actually get a good sense of what is it actually like to work in AI. What does the process look like? How iterative is the process? Rarely do you get one-shot magical things. How much you might start somewhere, but the process of working with the AI itself oftentimes could lead you in a different place, which is not at all that different from how a lot of shots get shot on production. Like the director might even have a vision, and then by the time the lighting in some different place is better or more perfect, and you kind of get that shot that you'd never even planned for. So our mission and goal in the world, in the long arc of things, not in like the 1 year, 2 year, is basically to build multimodal general intelligence. We believe that like anything that is truly intelligent is not just bounded to text. We think humans live in spatial existence. Words are important, but so are visuals, motion, physics, sound. These together are what our perception is. And any version of intelligence that to us will feel intelligent and is useful to us in its intelligent form will probably have some of these qualities. That is why multimodal arc is something that we are very, very passionate about. We definitely believe text is not enough to get there, and hence we are in the pursuit of what we call creative intelligence. The goal with creative intelligence for us is to lay down the foundations of what a new era of world building, storytelling, and human expression looks like. A little bit about how we started and all the twists and turns that have led us to this point. It would be interesting to see like how, despite all these changes, this fundamental aspect of a new era of creativity and expression and what are the building blocks of that has kind of remained consistent. So if you have followed Luma at all from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, before Dream Machine and our video model came to the scene, we were first started to basically do 3D capturing. We saw this opportunity with NERFs. The person who wrote the paper on NERF works at Luma, leads our applied research, Matt. We saw this opportunity with NERFs, and Amit, who was then at Apple, kind of was, I'm going to go do it. It is going to be way faster if I do it outside Apple. And so that's kind of how this thing started. NERFs, and then we got to Gaussian splatting because they were a much more efficient way of doing things. But it's nothing. You basically are able to capture a scene like this, and at a later point, just move around in that scene. That's kind of the heart of the idea of what it lets you do. And so you can have really interesting stuff like these cinematic scenes, which you can kind of control. You can get shots that you would have taken a long, long time to get with your camera crane setups. So that was like kind of the starting point of the company. Very quickly, we realized outside of the most dedicated VFX production workflows, this was quite an arduous task for an average consumer, prosumer, individual people to be doing. You had to scan 3 levels from the top, from the middle, and then from the bottom. And you would kind of get something like this. And so one bit was very clear that any version of this, any visual version of this kind of capturing of and creation of word would need elements that were generative. This idea was very clearly established to us because you couldn't humanly, in a fun way, capture all the pixels. It was too arduous of a task. And so the only way you could actually replicate any versions of reality where at least some percent, we can debate and disagree on what that percent is, 0 to 100, but at least some percent would have to be generated. So that led to the second arc of the company, where we basically created and kind of established the foundations of proper generative research in the company with a text-to-3D model. This was the first of its kind in the industry, and all these assets that you see are created with Genie. It's still alive. Both Capture and Genie are still working today. And so if these are the things that you're interested in, go try them at lumalabs.ai. Now, one of the fascinating things that happens in both this 3D version of text to 3D as well as in this version of capturing things in 3D is we lose the thing that is the most fascinating in visual things. We lose motion. Oftentimes, we would capture something like a water fountain, and it would be captured, like it would work, but it would be kind of dead. And when you combine that with the fact that most of the world's pixel information is, as of right now, still consumed in 2D, even 3D games are, at the end of the day, consumed in 2D. That is all these like little bits, little learnings from all these things that we did kind of led to the final moment where in 2024, June, we launched Dream Machine. This was the first of its kind video model that people could actually try and get their hands on. It was not behind a demo. It was not just a few cool cherry-picked shots that you could just look at. You could actually play with it. You could pay for it and just keep using it. It was a phenomenal moment. Back then, the product and the model were one and the same thing called Dream Machine. Since then, we've evolved where the product is now taking on the name of Dream Machine, and the models have their own names in the name of Ray. Most recently, we launched Ray 2. You can see the connection: Luma, light, light, seeing, seeing, dreaming, Ray, the technical side, dual light particle, wave particle duality of light, and you have Ray and photon, photon being our image model. So we launched Ray 2, the most recent version of our video model, in January. I'm going to give a quick kind of teaser preview and then go straight into the Dream Machine side of things.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream.
OK, so we have these few like different things: the Ray model series for video models. We have Photon, our image model. But end of the day, one of the things that when we started working on these technologies, we strongly believe, and believe to this day, not a lot has changed in the industry, where models are great. We are at the era where a lot of the development and progress is going to come, at least right now for the next 2-3 years, from models. There are so many techniques that are just, every technique new technique we try, at least 50% of them give us like step function changes in capabilities and the progress and the speed and the quality and the latency. So models will be around, and they will be a huge, huge differentiating factor for a while. But the other part of all of this is, as you start adding these modalities, you have a lot of like video. You have images that you might be using for ideation, storyboarding, getting your start-end frames. And even before that, you might be talking to ChatGPT or whatever else it may be for just general ideation. We think, and reasoning nowadays, and we think more and more, a lot of the value that can be created, especially in on the product side of things, is in how do you bring all of this together? What is that? And what does that feel like? Is it basically trying to be an ID of video? Are you trying to recreate every functionality that exists in, say, Premiere, After Effects, and try to make it basically AI? Or is there a different way to approach these things? And so those are kind of questions we grapple with on the product side of things. Our current best answer of that question is effectively Dream Machine. So Dream Machine, this iteration of it was launched in November last year. And we basically think of this as creative partner for ideation and imagination. The goal is that you have this thing where you come in with your ideas, and no matter what kind of idea you have, this can help you amplify those ideas, visualize those ideas. We think one of the fundamental unlocks will come when we move from video as just content to video as a medium of thinking, a medium of communication, a medium of expressing thought. Right now, most of the video is consumed. You sit back and you kind of just watch it, and you're like, cool, or most of the times you just scroll to the next one. We think like when something becomes a true medium of communication and thinking, that changes. Think of how like when text and computing came, you had word processors and rich text document editors. Today, when you think, you just take out your phone, use your Notes app, or just tweet it, or just write it. You copy paste words, edit text strings, and you move them around without ever thinking you are word processing. We think that's the same level of when a whole society gets fluent with video. This is what it will unlock. So what we can do in Dream Machine is it's something that is designed not just for one particular audience. It is designed for a much broader audience. So everyone from, say, the interior designer to a musician who can now have another thing to their portfolio that's not just audio. They can actually create visuals for their music. We see this a lot, actually. People who were creative in one domain can now add this domain. Some of them who were creative in video can now do it at a much cheaper cost. And this is fascinating to us, which does point to something wherein maybe in the future, you don't have, similar to how image editing, oh yeah, you go to Photoshop. Video editing, oh yeah, you go to After Effects or Premiere. 3D editing, okay, yeah, Cinema 4D or Blender or whatever, Maya. Maybe in the future, if we play this right, these are not 3, 4, 5, 50 different tools. They are at least 2 to 3 tools. I wouldn't claim to say we'll magically get it to 1. I think at some point we reach the limits of what you can show on screen. But we do think there is a real mode collapse that is possible here. And we're seeing very early inklings of this with people like musicians who are now producing videos. Interior designers who, instead of just creating mood boards on Pinterest, can now show their clients this is what it will feel like to actually walk in that space that they're creating for you. And then, of course, you have the fashion designers, and then last and not the least at all is people who are using it in extreme abundance right now, which is people who've always done videos, the filmmakers, the storytellers, the visual artists. And Dream Machine is designed for them, and this idea of ideation, production, and iteration in the world of abundance. We think what AI unlocks at its most fundamental level is abundance. Instead of taking 1 shot, 2 shots, you can take 2,000. It's OK. That requires a whole different approach of how do you know which 2,000 to take? Do you just keep doing reroll, or do you have some control over it? How quickly can you show that? How do you show 2,000 ideas in one interface without it becoming crazy? And so Dream Machine is designed with that ideology in mind. You can create images, videos, but you can also just come and ask for ideas. One of the things we are, or more specifically, the design team is at war with is this idea that you need prompt smithing and this alchemy of words. If something is truly intelligent, it should feel the way you express ideas to someone who is a coworker. You just go and talk to them. You don't wordsmith your way 50 times, changing each time one character to see, oh yeah, maybe this one will magically work. I'm not claiming we are there yet. We obviously, just like everyone else, have a lot of work to do. But that is one of the things we feel strongly that this thing has to feel natural for a lot wider audience to actually participate in this. If its vocabulary only works for people who know all the facets of creative and art direction, that's still a very limited set of people. How do we expand where just because you didn't know the right word for something doesn't mean your idea cannot be visualized? But then, great, you have that. How do you iterate on this? Right now, the way you iterate is you basically take that prompt, you copy it back again, and you change that one word, or you change a substring. But to a normal person, you would just say, can it be more muted? Can it be more cinematic? Can I do this here? And so that is another core aspect of what Dream Machine is designed around, which is this kind of conversational iteration and back and forth. The other aspect of all of this is kind of going back to the vocabulary side. How do you, whether you know the words or whether you don't know the words, how do we give you the right set of concepts, keywords based on what you were trying to do, and things that are in periphery of that so that you can expand on those ideas. And expanding on those ideas, even when you can't quite get the word, is as simple as just one click. And lastly, all the other features that you would expect in a tool like this. You can, of course, use images to keyframe them. You can, of course, do character reference. You can, of course, do style reference. You can, of course, do image reference. You can modify things by just iterating through conversations. And you can brainstorm and share and remix your boards that you're collaborating on. For the rest of this deck, we're basically going to just be living inside Dream Machine, starting from the basics of the workflow to, just checking my time. From the basics of the workflow to some of the things that if you're not familiar with those, maybe if you're familiar with Dream Machine, maybe there are some few tricks that I can show at least in like how we approach things, how we try to do some things when we get stuck, and hopefully everyone benefits from that conversation. So let's start into it. You basically have, like, for the most parts, two main views that you're working with in Dream Machine. You have what we call boards. We're going to spend most of our time here, so I'm going to go through the other view and just talk a little bit about that and kind of get that out of the way. The other view is what you are probably more closely used to. This is just you come, you have a prompt box, you type in whatever you want, and you get the asset that you're looking for. Some people love this density. A lot of our classic OG users completely hate it. For them, you can, of course, go back and get to a more relaxed view of things where things are not all in your face. They are a little laid back. You have the prompts visible there. This is great when all you want to do is just, you have this one idea, you just want to see it. There's no ideation you have to do. It's a very quick and dirty, I want to try this, and go out. It's a very efficient way of working. You can, of course, like iterate on these with videos, filter them down with videos, images, and then the ones that you favorited. So pretty basic run-of-the-mill organizational features here. The whole point of this is for people who are used to the old school way of you prompt, you get an asset back, whether in image or video land, you kind of generate. And then again, you can copy the prompt, get back to it, keep tweaking one asset at a time. There is no conversational aspect or something in between your idea and what the model is generating. So in some ways, this is I would call the purest way of doing this thing. Now let's talk about the other version, which we call boards. Boards, because it can be anything from an art board, a mood board, a storyboard, an idea board, hence boards. Let's start with something very simple. Boards, when you start, you can just start by clicking the plus button below. They can be anything. You can come here, literally ask a question. You can come here with a pretty typical prompt in image land or video land. Or you can just start by seeing the options that we are giving to you and kind of go from there. So let's say I want to play with some ideas. Before I do anything, let's say I just want to understand what can I even do. So now at this point, you're probably if you look at the workflow, you are in the seed of an idea. We're in Austin. Let's be extremely stereotypical. Give me some ideas about cowboy living in a desert ranch. OK, let's see what it for story about. OK. So at this point, you're not really generating anything. You're just ideating. You're very much in the realm of, what can I even create? If you don't like these are too cliches, you have a very particular thing in mind, say that. Let's even look at what these are. Cowboy's Lunar Journey. Is there anyone we like here? Desert Timekeeper. OK, let's try that. Sure. Let's see what it creates out of the box, and then we can kind of work our way through it. So straight off the bat, I think some of the things that you might have seen is that when you click on these, we automatically have like what needs to be the thing that you should be saying. You can, again, go and tweak it. We debated a lot internally. Shouldn't that just be one click? I think at this point, giving control back to people is probably the right thing, especially if these were videos. You probably don't want whole video credits to be just taken because you were ideating. So for now, I think this is a better flow. But we're starting off with something very AI, let's say. Let's say we make this, make these more minimal and cinematic. So one of the things is, again, I could have like taken this, figured out what the right set of words is. Another thing that we could have done is, let's say I change my mind. I don't want a cowboy. I can try something else. Let's actually just try it. While that's generating, let's say I'm like, OK, what else could I be doing here? Maybe I don't have the right idea. I kind of like the direction, but maybe I don't have the right idea. And so one of the things worth pointing out is that it has kept everything else, all the other key concepts that you mentioned here. And the only thing that has changed is your protagonist in this case. But let's say I'm like, I don't know, I don't think anything is here is interesting. So what you can do, one of the things that we think is quite powerful if used nicely, is the brainstorm feature. All you have to do is just click it, and what it does is basically tries to, based on everything that you've expressed so far, what are some radical directions that you can go in? And it's a spectrum, starting from something very simple to really complex. And so what all is it talking about? It talks about golden armor, desert samurai, colorful landscape, ancient clock. OK, so now it's gotten into, like, instead of focusing on the character, it's going a little bit more on, like, let's focus on the object itself and kind of build some intrigue there by having that be the focus, and then you build out your story from there. So I'm going to leave that for now. But OK, you have some of these. Let's say I don't like this. Let's say I'm like, OK, I want to now think about how do I get the establishing shot? Where is this person? I kind of like this idea of like a desert, but with like little meadows of flowers. And I think like someone who is a timekeeper would have these like very like anachronistic elements in their surrounding. And so like let's try something. I'm going to be or create an establishing shot with geodesic dome in the desert. And let's say, so one of the things you can do while you're doing images or videos is you can always just click the suggestions. We've tried to basically categorize at least the common vernacular in what you should generally be adding to when you're talking to things. You can always come and say red kitchen, and we're going to try our best to give you a lot of our, like, the whole system is designed that we wouldn't give you the same kinds of 4 red kitchen. We will try to give you a red modern kitchen, a red rustic kitchen, a red farmhouse kitchen. But if you actually do know the kind of red kitchen you want, because when you said red, you actually meant bricks or terracotta, yeah, just mention it. And so like these are some of the most common ones that from a cinematographic perspective, we think is actually always useful. We've already talked about establishing shot. Maybe I want a low angle shot. I think I want it to be photorealistic. And maybe during golden hour. And let's see what it does. So again, as of right now, as you can tell, we haven't created a single video. But rarely do people just rush to the video in their entire process. A lot of this is sometimes even just words. And you keep circling the words. You keep like pulling out of those words to be like, OK, where can this go? Where can this go? OK, this is interesting, but it's too futuristic. How do I bring it back to like the desert vibe? So OK, maybe a little more rustic. So you could do this. Because it is the last thing, you can always just reply back to it here. But let's say if this was something a few turns ago, what you can always do is just take these and hit reply. And that basically nudges the conversation's context to be like, this is what I'm talking about. Can you make these a little more rustic and wooden while keeping it geodesic. OK, let's see. OK, now we're getting somewhere. We have a color palette that feels not, oh my god, HDR. We have a little more anachronistic thing. You look at it, and you can't quite tell if you almost feel like this is from some future era, but you're looking at even a more future point from there, and you're looking back on this. Enough to basically seed ideas of where am I going with this, like in the storyline of things. So from here, like, let's like do a few of the like very simple like organization things. Let's say I like this one. I can just favorite it. Let's say I liked this one. I can favorite it. And what this lets you do is effectively is over time in your board, you will have hundreds of these that you've generated. And this is a very simple way to almost keep a this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And then you can always drag them back to the composer. But it gives you like almost a scratch pad on the side where you're just like tucking things to be like, hey, these are the good ones. Hold on to them. Great, so we have these. Now let's say I want to make a video. And simplest way to do it is either click the Make Video button. All images that are generated inside have a Make Video button. You can, of course, go to your own camera roll and add from Finder images that you might have as keyframes. What Luma accepts is in the keyframe feature, we basically accept images. If you've generated them, we accept videos, and they can be in any place or order. So what I mean by that is if you look at this guy, this little fella here, we have so far been in the image land of things. When you're asking it questions like, oh, can you give me unique ideas, the mode really doesn't matter. Just for the sake of my sanity, I almost prefer it going back to images, because just in case the LLM chose somehow that it was not going to be about ideas and it was generating, I wouldn't get charged for video. So that's kind of just something I do, because even in the 1% chance, it is annoying. You're like, oh god, it generated a video. So I just prefer images when I'm doing like stuff like this. We call them creative query. You can kind of ask them at any point, like, hey, what kind of camera angle would look good here? Who are some artists who have done similar work? Who are some directors whose style is reminiscent? What is an arch nemesis of this particular character that I'm exploring? Really anything, and it will try to basically maintain every context that it has had so far in this board, and the last thing that you said, and try to come up with the right set of ideas for you. So going back to our composer, we basically have been in image mode, so to speak, so far. Here, all you have access to is you can always upload stuff, and you can basically get suggestions. Pretty simple stuff. But if you want to be doing things that are more closer to video, because end of the day, films do have videos, you basically have a bunch of options. You can, of course, keep using text. All you have to do is just switch over to video. That effectively will keep generating videos. You can control the aspect ratio in text to video. You can choose, hey, I don't want 2 videos every turn. This is one of those. We recently launched one video option because we were like, people keep saying they're burning credits. Let's give them this option. We are oddly now literally getting emails of make 2 videos the default. So, but point being, you have the choice. And these are sticky settings. What I mean by that is if you choose them once in a board and you go out and create a new board, we will basically remember your last created settings, which makes life a little bit easier, especially if you're constantly switching between things. So OK, you have the option of video. You can choose whether you want 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I have Ray 1.6. That's why 10 second is not chosen. But if I did Ray 2, 10 second is an option. I know that always looks like negative. It is approximate. We will change it one day. And of course, you can choose whether you want to do it at 720p or 1080p. For this demo, I'm going to stick to 720p. So anyways, that's kind of your text to video side of things. From there, we start evolving into like, I would say somewhat advanced, but also like just more interesting features. You can obviously do keyframes. This is what I meant by your start frame can be an image, can be empty, can be a generated video. Similarly, your end frame can be an image, can be empty, and can be a generated video, which effectively gives you a few combinations. You can do start frame only and just generate. You can do no start frame, just a given end image frame, and generate. You can do, no, 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 I know exactly the start frame I want, and I know exactly the end frame I want. Generate, imagine everything in between. This is what a lot of people use for any of those morphing transitions that if you see them in ads and stuff, this is basically what they do. And then, of course, if you have videos, you can extend them. You basically just put them in the first slot, and it's imagining the rest of it. You can do reverse extend, put them in the end slot. It imagines what came before. And then again, you can do, I have video, a generated video as the start frame, but now I know the ending I want. You can, of course, do all of those things. When you start getting into that level of control, this is where you might want to use tools that have in-painting and stuff, and you do just the right micro changes to get like exactly the shot that you're looking for, because you're effectively looking for extreme, extreme control. But the interface basically allows for all of these combinations. I'm going to go back to references and modify in a bit. But let's say I take this one, and I want to make this a video. I could have clicked this button. I can drag this here. I can, again, move them around if I wanted something else to be the end frame. But enough of those shenanigans. Let's like just do a, I'm going to go back to Ray 1.6. The moment you start typing, we're going to turn this into a UI. Another one of those, I promise. We're going to make this better. But the moment you start typing camera, or any of these words underneath, so if you were to just say move, you get the idea. You basically get a list of camera options that we support. All the kinds of camera typical movements that Luma supports across different models, you get those. And so basically, OK, let's say I wanted an establishing shot. I want to start here, and then the whole camera kind of zooms out. And so that's what I'm going to do. Out. You don't have to do all of this. Like the way, because of the underlying like language stack in between, you could have just given a start frame, just hit submit, and let the model do its thing. And so, OK, let's say you start here, and let's see what it does. While it's dreaming, let's say I want to think a little bit more about characters now. What model did I do? Another, while it's doing its thing, which it's always demos where things are ridiculously slow. But while it's doing all of this, one of the other cool things that you can do on the image side of things is we have image to image. And so what you can do is basically modify them. And so all of these are bucketed under the modify feature. You can just click this. You could have clicked this and got into the detail view, which over time we will make it more and more robust of a proper editing place. But for now, you have a lot of the things that you had there with just a more focus on what you're looking for. Obviously, you can move back and forth. But let's say I'm looking at this one, the one I had favorited, and I want to modify some aspect. Let's say I want some green lush like vines or something on top of it. Let's say if the model can even do that. Basically, what I would do is I would click modify, goes back into the composer, you're back in boards view, and say, what we try to do here is basically give you a range of options that cover everything from like very subtle changes to drastic changes. And so like you start getting into this world where, OK, you can make these changes. You could have been more specific, add hot tub or whatever. But point being, you can make these changes while preserving the structural integrity of your designs. OK, we got one of them. So this is basically a very simple, the things we used so far. We used start end frames, keyframes. All of these start end frames are basically bucketed in Luma under the keyframe feature. Extend, start end frame, loop, all of these are bucketed under the keyframes feature. We also got to learn a little bit about camera controls. Like the camera is effectively one of the most critical pieces. And so like being able to control the kind of camera movement that you're looking for is very important. This is one of those things where we are constantly improving. So stay tuned for like more improvements coming in. But this is a very, very simple establishing shot. Now let's say I like this. I'm like, I want to extend this. It's as simple as clicking extend. Sometimes in this case, like there's a perfect thing. All I want is a longer shot. Just let it keep going on. I'm just going to do this and kind of see like what it comes out at the other end. A fun thing to try, let's see. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work. So please don't hold it against me if it doesn't work. But a fun thing for me to always try is like, I take one of these and just do a weird morphing stuff every time I modify something. And so in this case, at any point, if you wanted a looping thing, you basically click the loop button. So I'm going to show you an example of this in text to video. What's a good text to video? Let's do something very simple. All I did was just click the loop button. You can also use this in conjunction with keyframes. So if you have a start frame and you hit loop, obviously we will guess the end frame. You can do the reverse. Obviously, we will guess the right start frame. Wow, the queue is killing me. At any time, what I like to do when I'm doing a lot of these, especially across multiple boards, is just hover quickly to get a status of what is going on. This basically shows all the ideas that you're looking at, and so you can very quickly see a status of what is going on, what is not going on. OK, this is just our second one. This is the so this is the extended version of the same shot. So you can see it keeps the first part and just builds on from there. And then this one, we'll see what it comes out to be. So this, like, basically, at least for now, covers all the basic building blocks of you have your start frame, you have your end frame, you have your camera controls, and you can, for the most part, get the shot if you have the images from somewhere. Now, we got the camera part great. We got some of the story ideation part great. One of the things that is essential in doing all of this is characters. So let's do a simple example of what character reference looks like in Luma. You can always go to these. So we discussed keyframes. I'm going to zoom this guy in. We discussed describe, aka text to image, text to video. We've just bucketed them because otherwise we would have twice of every functionality. Keyframes, which is obviously a video-only thing. Reference and modify for now are image-only features, but reference lets you effectively give image reference, so image prompting, up to 4 images, style reference, or character reference. And right now, these are exclusive. You can't mix and match them. But again, we are very aware that ideally, you want to mix and match these. Modify, we just showed you. But basically, with Modify, you can upload an image that you already have. And so you can just bring an image of your own. And it's very easy to just make subtle tweaks to it. Going back to references, let's add our friend. I was trying to get some of these just so that I had something I'm not going to add myself. That's too dangerous. What you can do is use characters that you might have had or you've generated. You have the perfect character in mind. Again, you would go back in Luma, in Dream Machine at least, you would go back, iterate a bit here if you don't have one, based on the storyline, based on what props might they have. For example, the timekeeper one, what props would the nemesis of the timekeeper have? I don't know, but a good one to ask and get to that answer. But basically, once you have, using all of these things, a face that you actually like, that you want to keep consistent in all your generations going forward, image generations, the way you do that is basically you add the reference, and you can just say something like, make add character cowboy standing in the desert. This will lead it to a very different with ancient timekeeping device. Okay. And then, yeah, all you do is, because we're still doing 16:9 throughout, you basically just hit send. And OK, we got, I think, our 2 loops back. And so those are basically like simple looping, back and forth animations here in this case. But that's like a very, very easy way to like continuously have things that, especially if you need something very quickly and you have a start frame, it's really easy. And these, like for what it's worth, loop, I think, is best used for more textural, ambient kind of stuff, which anyways is likely where you're using loop most of the times. So like backdrop of like a marketing campaign, advertisement, stuff like that is where it ideally works best. OK, so here we have our character across different like ideas of the character, but the face remains consistent. The timekeeping device we added because that was an idea we had in the beginning. And then from here, honestly, you can keep doing versions of this. You can keep adding the character again and again. Again, something that would be an obvious quality of life experience is, can that just be sticky? Yes. And so you basically have, like, this would be the way you start like making, like another thing you can do here is, so this is something that actually a lot of people I think don't know. They still like copy stuff. You can either click this fella and that just adds the attachment on any of the things from before. Or you can just say reuse message if you want to make some changes. So let's say here, one of the things I want to demo you guys is how helpful concept pills are in like iterating over things. And so here I add, or maybe not 3D cartoon style. OK. While that's generating, I can do a lot of these and keep doing these. So point is, very, very easy to iterate through a lot of these. You can obviously go to very drastically different styles. You can, going back here, change from a cowboy to we're back to samurais. Maybe, but I don't want them in a desert setting. Maybe at this point they have gone somewhere else and they're exploring a snowy place. But again, point being that this is very easy for you to like do quick changes and iterate. The moment you have something, whether you create it here, whether you create it somewhere else, bring them in and do keyframes to get the shot you want. Extend those to get longer shots so that you can time remap them and get to the perfect kind of length of clip or footage that you're looking for. And that's like, and you can also see like here when you start doing it, like it is smart enough to like at least try doing different things. Like, OK, the clothing needs to change. Shouldn't probably just be wearing the exact same thing that they're wearing in desert. So that's kind of like the combination of like the image flows and how that combines with the video side of things. Now let's say we want to make, I want to show something I created earlier. So I was doing these today so that I had some backup for you guys. So a simple thing that we've added is like we've talked about so far, ideas or stories. We've talked about images that give you control in like what the frame or the setting and the visuals are. We've talked about character reference. We've talked about camera. And we've talked about keyframe as a way to just basically bring things into motion. But so far, we're still in the silent movie era of everything. And so a simple thing that you can do when you like something is basically just go add audio. You don't have to give a description. You can just add audio. But let's say here I want boy playing guitar, no vocals, no dialogue. OK. See, it still did vocals. Yeah, sometimes you try. This is a good example, though. Like, I think it's very easy to like have a very buttoned-up presentation and give you this like fake illusion that everything just works perfectly in one shot. It's like, no, it doesn't. Even when the feature, like, I know exactly how we are doing everything here that technically it should have worked. But at the model layer, for some reason, they still added the vocals. What can I do? And so like, this is a good version of like, how iterative this process is. So if something doesn't work, change it. If something doesn't work, try a different idea. Try a few different things. This is like, as much as we want to like not have you learn prompt smithing, but at least being curious and trying a few different takes of the same idea. Because end of the day, what the whole process is trying to do is you have this like really high dimensional map. Think of it as like a very crazy like terrain map of a landscape. And it's like an oversimplification. So if you're actually from ML world, please don't kill me. But it's like, end of the day, what you're doing is based on everything that you say, the model tries to be like, OK, I am here, roughly at the tip of the mountain. And if you change just enough words, sometimes you go deep in the valley very quickly. And this is why these models are so unpredictable, where changing just one thing sometimes lands you in a completely different thing. Everyone in the industry is trying to improve them. But until then, the easiest ways we have to improve them is build like user experiences that let you iterate faster, let you do like quick minor changes as easily as possible. And so here, like, changes as simple as like you go back here, you go to audio, you try something else again and generate it again. These are like fairly cheap, so it's fine. So that's kind of like taking into account almost every feature that we have looked at. Here are 2 videos that explore your idea. I don't know why I did videos. Oh, because I asked it to do videos. This is a different old thread of mine. And lastly, like, if you like something, let's say I had this one where I had generated the idea where I did actually like the audio. You can always just go in and upscale them. And this is where you can get to your like 4K footage. And so you just hit create, and it will get you your 4K footage. And so that like right now covers a lot of the stuff that is like super filmmaking side of things. I have one last thing, which is almost nothing to do with filmmaking, but I think it's like actually really fun. It's still in the image land of things using image referencing, but I use it as a way to effectively create like unique compositions and kind of like almost explore like scenes before the full idea settles in my head. And so this is a really old board of mine. I think I had generated these by asking like, give me shots that look like they could be from an A24 movie or something. And it generated a bunch of like splatter. Not all of them even look like A24. But the point is, I got a bunch of images that have completely different aesthetic qualities, setting, location, elements in them, enough to get the idea going. And so here are like simple things I do often. One of them is I just take those images, a neon-lit alley, a random sculpture in a moonlit desert, and a sunset. I just put them in. They're just doing simple image references. And you end up getting like very interesting combinations that you just wouldn't get by defining them through words. This is where you've kind of completely tossed away words, and you're using images almost as your colors and just playing with them. This is best approached. I will say this is best approached with like a little bit of an open, curious mind versus being too like, this is exactly what I want. Why is it not doing it? You can prompt. Sometimes it gets very close. But end of the day, again, we are back to that like mountain I talked about. We are in this embedding space, and I'm just trying to find like closest things to that. But I think all of these, like, I really like where it goes through the progression and somehow tries to fuse these elements into a scene that even if I had tried, it would have been actually very hard for me to imagine something like this. But what would have been very easy for me to imagine is like, I think these are all elements that are interesting in my head, combine them in really fascinating ways. So I find this as like a really interesting way to like build sets and like build kind of settings that can then, again, it's an iterative process. From there, your story might evolve, your script might evolve, and that goes back to like, hence the scene that itself is needed might evolve. You can obviously do it in like pure graphic line where you don't even ever have to change anything, but like this is an example of like completely cubist thing and a completely normal landscape scene, and it creates these like fascinating things. The one that I want to show is funnily not in this board. Never mind. Well, you get the main idea, which is how do you combine different kinds of things to really create scenes that are super fascinating. The last thing that I will show is the add character also works when you're trying to do add style. And so you can always like similarly take an image and do add style instead of add character, and that does style reference. And lastly, you can use it to create, God damn it. One day I will find the thing that I'm looking for. It's okay. Where did I generate these? Oh, they are in this board. OK, let's go up. Great. So this is an example where you can also just use some of the like ways image referencing works to do really like funky stuff. That is not really a process, but it's more a way to like, again, do the world building. Because end of the day, what is it? You're defining the set, the location, the colors, the mood, the vibe, the characters, what the characters are wearing, the props. And this is like a simple way of like, almost I would say like hacking the system, because this is not an explicit feature. Object reference is not an explicit feature we have. But what you can do is get pretty damn close. Like, OK, you have this like jacket, and you have an idea of a character that you want to be wearing this thing. And you can just like do very simple stuff to get to something that really like, again, this is a very good way to like almost short circuit the amount of text you have to write to describe every single detail in the scene, to quickly get to what are you trying to like really go for. And again, if you like this, from here you have your character established. Now use character reference to keep continuing with her in the rest of the story that you're trying to go after. So that, at the highest level, is basically all the like flows that I wanted to at least talk about. We are at 1:57, which is great on time. Any questions? Any thoughts? Yes. Yes.
And yet, I'm guessing that the models, all the models using this are still kind of diffusion models. They're not multimodal models in the true sense.
No, they're not multimodal. I don't think, except for Gemini, I don't think we have multimodal models, really, in the video land.
Right.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I'm just wondering if that's, that would give a lot more control when that eventually comes. And I'm wondering, like, a connected question, why do you think it is that OpenAI still hasn't released the image gen for GPT-4?
Can't answer about OpenAI. I have friends there, but they won't tell me why. I can answer the first part, or at least expand on the first part. Yes, I think right now, the biggest problem that we are trying to solve, like think of it this way. There are two things needed for something like this to actually catch on, especially in industries that are like very established. Quality, actually three: quality, cost, and control. Cost kind of like was always like, that was the way in the door, so to speak. Quality, I would say, in the last 8 months has started getting to a point where you can kind of see the end state. You can kind of see, OK, in like 6 to 8 months from here, we will definitely have solved like all the like weird morphing, all the issues. We're kind of already there in a lot of like anime, 3D cartoon, those styles. And then anything that is like hyper realistic, hyper cinematic, that there obviously you can see like the sight, like end in sight. That part is like solvable. So then that leaves just one thing: control. We think like control. I don't particularly think like the multimodal aspect would give us control out of the box. What it will give us, which I think the Gemini like image plus text being truly in like one modality exposes, is that you can actually do visual reasoning over the image. Right now, we kind of have to do this hop. You caption the thing, and then you send it to an LLM, and then the LLM does its reasoning, and then it sends it back. So of course, it's a little lossy. But when it happens in the same space, this is why, without being even explicitly trained, at least the demos, if like you're caught up, like you're seeing in the last like 3-4 days of the Gemini release, is basically like, oh yeah, because it's truly in one modality, you can just say things, and even tasks that it hasn't been trained on, it can just do. So we think the bigger thing there will be like visual reasoning will be an emergent property when we do actually have multimodal language, like truly multimodal systems. And in the same way, like no one actually thought reasoning would be an emergent property of language models. And then people were like, huh, if you actually do ask it to memorize all of the internet, it kind of does memorize all things that could also be, not just were. And so we will see the same thing in the visual side of things. The control part, though, is extremely, extremely important. And I think most of our work now, there's always going to be quality foundation. I think most of the work that we are focused on right now is like, what are the right ways to give control? And this is like, in some ways, I think this is like as much of a UX and design challenge as it is like, what is the research methodology to solve this problem? Because it's very easy to be like, I want control for this, I want control for this. Like basically the same factorizations you've always had in 3D or video. And every control just given as its own thing. But also you can actually get to very unique factorizations of things that were previously not possible. Like style as a factor was not something you could control before. You could like color grade it, but that's not just what style is. It's a combination of a lot of things. And so we do think like there are these like right factorizations. How do you bundle the right things in ways that kind of make sense to a lot more people versus always ending up with 100 knobs to control 100 things individually? The other thing there is like, what are the tasks where it is the most important? So if you think about it this way, like we are at the point where we can kind of do, like if you look at the whole flow, there's pre-production, there's production, there's post-production. Very like oversimplification of the whole thing, but bear with me. Pre-production, people are using it. People are using Gen AI, AI, storyboarding, all of these things a lot. And I think like we are there. We can always like build more UI features, but the base things needed to do that exist. On the production side, which funnily is where most of the budget is, we are probably there on the quality side, but not so much on the exact controls needed there. And so there, like, we're maybe there or we'll get there with like, okay, you can now kind of create the shot that's in your head with minimal budget and extreme crazy time constraints. You can kind of do that. It's not quite control, but in the process, that one is within reach for the most part. The part that is completely untouched for the most cases right now is, what about all the shots I have? How do we change those? And so my hunch is that like the first wave of control will probably be better established by things you already have, and what are the right things that can do. And it can look as simple as, give me outpainting for videos, so that my existing landscape footage can be turned for social media without me having to reshoot the whole thing, everything twice. Or cropping, which oddly is even worse. And so those are the kinds of things we see like where, okay, what are all the things that could make existing footage more useful to people? What are the changes they might want to do? Eventually, I think the point that you raised, we will definitely get to like, it's a matter of like, which ones do we prioritize? And how much does that lift all boats versus, oh, this one thing. Like a good example is color grading might be like very low on the list because the existing solves, there's not something really unique we might be able to bring from the AI side, not even Luma, like from the AI side to the table. That won't be, at best I can imagine, okay, you have an image whose colors you like, and it's like even a subset of style ref, and you might be able to give that, and that keeps a consistent color grading for your whole movie. So that might be like something you can kind of already get with style ref and just a few like control nets with color. But what is more interesting is things like outpainting, things like how do you in-paint in video? What does that even mean when it's not a static frame? It's a whole thing. What does that mean for rotoscoping things? Can we avoid that? And again, we've all seen like demos and glimmers of each of these ideas. But one of the other things that is fascinating about AI is like a demo or a research paper that comes out barely informs what the production reality of that stuff is. You start trying and you realize, oh yeah, those examples were very cherry-picked. Or, oh yeah, this doesn't scale when you actually want it at the millions of samples that we train on. And you quickly realize, OK, some things you have to kind of do from scratch on your own. So yes, control is super important. Just on the way.
Please join me in thanking Tuhin for this amazing workshop.
First of all, thank you, everyone, to be here. I'm going to be spending about 25 minutes, hopefully, talking about generative AI in filmmaking, content creation, and Griptape as well. So, you know, my name is Amaru Zeas. I am born and raised in Ecuador. You can tell by my accent, probably. So, you know, I could actually stay here and maybe talk a little bit about myself, but I can tell you that award-winning art director, filmmaker, X amount of years of experience, and all that type of stuff. But what I thought it was kind of interesting for me to kind of like show you who really I am. Who is Amaru? What are his values? And I know you came here to see generative AI, and you're going to see wonderful content, but I think it's very important for you to understand where I'm coming from and how I transform my, the way I see the industry with AI. So there's 6 core values I use for everything that I do in life and in my professional life. Curiosity helps me find my passion. You have consistency, commitment to take that passion and create content, and then purpose with, to create content with purpose and inspire people. Why I am telling you this? Because I used to be the traditional CG artist who just creates stuff using 3D software, right? So I decided to embrace this technology. I want to be honest with you. 2 years ago, I was actually scared. I was still working at Amazon. I worked for Amazon for almost 6 years. And when I saw the potential about, with Midjourney and like these other generative AI images tools, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? This image, can we hit the lights a little bit, please, so we see more of the screen? Thank you. So this image is not AI. It's 100% CGI, 3D modeling, texturing, lighting, compositing, all the usual, workflows that you do to create this type of images. This image is special for me because it took me around 300 hours to produce this image, because I built everything, like every single detail that you see there is just built with my computer, my own hands, no AI. So what happens if you see ChatGPT and how ChatGPT in Midjourney, and now you can just prompt something in, 10 minutes, you have an image. So that's why I really try to understand where this industry is going to. And that's why curiosity is extremely important. I highly encourage you guys to use the curiosity, regardless of the type of industry that you're in, and just embrace that and find the new tools out there that can be actually beneficial for you. And because of my curiosity and my amazing CEO, Kyle, I decided to actually quit Amazon and join Griptape, amazing team. I'm going to give you a little bit of context what Griptape is. So basically, you can build, it's an open source framework that you can build production-ready AI agents. Simple. It's actually really, really cool. Like before I joined Griptape, I didn't even know what Python was, right? And then I started using Griptape, and I was like, oh, wow, I can actually build agents, and I didn't even have much of a knowledge. So it definitely makes things easy. A little bit about our ecosystem, I call it. So I already talked about Griptape, but we also have Griptape Cloud, which is an amazing platform that you can host your own data, and then you can talk to the data, which is amazing. We have Griptape Studios, and it's a small internal team, and we develop different workflows for the M&E, media and entertainment. We actually are working with AWS right now on a cool project, animation, Skydance animations as well. And we do lots of R&D and trying to integrate the Griptape framework into the next generation tools. And speaking about next generation tools, Griptape Notes. Oh my God, that's going to be amazing. It's an amazing platform. Please feel free to visit us at our booth to find out more, but I'll give you a sneak peek at the end. Okay? All right. So talking about curiosity, right? Before generative AI, I love to learn new technology. And I am a true believer that not single tool, that's everything for you. The more tools you know, the more you can do, right? So these are the regular, usual CGI tools that I used to use. And now, with generative AI, even more. And this keeps growing and growing and growing. Again, the more tools you use, the more content you can create. Let's talk about generative AI, because I don't know if anybody actually knows what does it mean, right? Do you do AI? What does that even mean? So generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can generate either like text, sound, image, video, out of trained data, right? Here I have 4 different types of generative AI. So you have the text. You have used ChatGPT, I'm assuming. Cloud, that's another one. For sound, I love Suno. Suno produces interesting quality sound effects and music. Midjourney, pretty sure that most of you know already. And Luma Ray, it was just presented, Luma. But there's also platforms like Kling AI and Minimax as well. So I think I'm going to just focus a little bit about creating the image, because I think like the image part of creating the entire workflow is one of the most important things to create really, really cool visuals. But before that, let me show you 3 apps or platforms that are actually very cool that you are able to really enhance the flows and control them. Because if you think about it, Midjourney is great. I mean, you can go there, type something, and it will just try to create the image for you, right? But what if I tell you you can have full control of every single bit before the image gets created, right? That's what advanced AI tools are. So we have, like I already mentioned before, our upcoming Griptape nodes. It's going to be amazing. And then we have usual suspects, Config UI and Invoke AI. Config UI is an open source framework, node-based. So you can produce different workflows that allows you to create video, images, and things like that. Invoke AI is a little bit similar, but they also have like a canvas, almost like a baby Photoshop, where you have like different brushes, and you can do a little more artistic stuff, which is really cool. All right, now we're getting into more like cool stuff. So Griptape and LLM. So for those who don't know what LLM is, it's a large language model. It's pretty much a model, advanced model that is being trained with text data that you can talk to or talk back. And the way that I was thinking about these industries, like how can we actually use LLMs to enhance my flows, right? So I don't want AI to direct me. I want myself to direct AI, if that makes sense. Without going into deep into Config UI, here's a more complex flow. So this is most of the stuff that it goes behind the image. When you prompt something in Midjourney, probably they have something like this, very similar, right? So without getting to the technical part, far left, you have the pink group, which is like loading the models. And then the green box, that's where you actually type what you want the image to look like, which is straightforward, right? But not everybody is experienced on how to prompt an image or even a short film. What if I tell you with Griptape and large language models, you can actually have pretty much an assistant to do that? It's just mind-blowing to me still. So how am I using this? So with Griptape, again, before going into like too technical, so here's a small workflow before I generate an image. So on the far left, this is Griptape. So on the far left, pink square, you have a rule set. A rule set for an LLM is pretty much that you give it a behavior, like, hey, be funny to me, hey, be mad at me. But you can also give it like smart rules. Like you can explain the agent how a text prompt is supposed to look like for filmmaking, and it does it for you. So right here in the yellow box, I just typed Superman, and then the Griptape agent takes care of the text prompt, so I don't have to worry about that, right? What if I tell you that you can do even more cool stuff? With Griptape Cloud, it's really cool. So on the left, I have a Griptape Cloud account that I have set it up, and I have some really cool data. On the right, it's one of my favorite books, this one, and it's in Spanish. It's an amazing book about cinematography. So I put the entire book, even though it's in Spanish, you can still talk to me I can talk to you in English. And then with Griptape Cloud, I have a data set, or we call it like a knowledge base. Now, why this is important is because I can connect this into a new flow. So I don't have to give it the rule sets like I did it before, because every time I prompt something, it goes directly to my book, to my knowledge base, and it can give me even suggestions of how to prompt even better. And that's beautiful to me. Now, what's next? Well, take this and hook it one of my flows to create a really cool image like Superman. And other characters, sure, you can totally do them as well. This one. By the way, everything that we create here, these images are like 12K, they're like super high resolution. We try to do high-end quality visuals, not just something that gets out of an application. Now, a little bit more complex. I'm going to show you videos too with audio, so it's not too like just looking at these crazy things. But when you do the upscaling means that you take an image, any image, and then you give some freedom to the AI to dream the new details, because remember, it's just a low-resolution image, and you're trying to make it bigger, right? So we use Griptape. There's an amazing tool with Griptape that it can actually recognize the image and do a description. So it's an image description tool. And I hooked it up into Griptape, and it does the heavy lifting for me. It just describes the image, and it helps me do the upscaling. And how that upscaling looks like, just like that. I mean, the beauty part of, there is like tools like Magnific AI. They're pretty good. You can go to the internet and use that platform. It's good, but it's not great. Here with Griptape and Griptape nodes, you're going to be able to actually control the whole process. And it means that you can really, maintain like every single structure of the face. It's very different. And there's more close-ups right here. All right, perfect. Now let's talk about LoRa. I know this terminology might sound scary, but it's actually kind of fun. So a LoRa is a low-ranking adaptation. It's pretty much like if you want to train a new model. And this is actually, even gives me goosebumps because it's really cool. Like the concept itself, when I was looking into it, I was like, oh my God, Kyle, this is amazing, CEO. And I started like doing some explorations of what can I do, right? I am an artist, right? So what can I do with training my own model? That sounds kind of cool. So that's what I did. So on the upper left, I built a short film, one of them, about global warming using Unreal Engine maybe like 5, 6 years ago. And I actually took that short film and I trained that data with my own art. We talk about ethics about AI, but we forget that, especially like, and this is not only for like a single person like myself, like studios. If you have a Nike product, like a Nike shoe, and they already did the photo shoot, they want to recreate the shoe, they don't have to take the photo again. They can just train the model itself and reuse that data because it's their own. So that's what I ended up doing here. And then how I use Griptape? Well, when you create a LoRa, you're supposed to create captioning as well. What captioning is you have a description per image. So if I train a LoRa with 20 images, I need 20 captions, right? So I use the image tool with Griptape to recreate those captionings for me so I don't have to do it manually. And I ended up creating this cool image. Now, I remember I told you it took me 300 hours, the first image. So you're going to see a lot of comments on the internet, like posts, oh, it only takes like 30 seconds. Oh, it only takes like a minute. Sure, but that's just, an image coming out of AI that I don't think, personal opinion, I don't think it's professional at all. This image didn't take me 300 hours, but it did take me 2 days because this is a super high resolution image, and this is not only AI. Like the drone is actually a 3D render that I did. So I'm constantly thinking, what are the ways that I can actually use my skills from VFX years of experience in the industry, and then how am I using the AI just to enhance the process? And here's a little bit example. So you have these different tools that I ended up using. Now, this is actually super hot in terms of what I'm going to talk about. Because one thing, OK, so you can go online and find like these different amazing tools and prompt something. Hey, I don't know, give me a tequila bottle with 2 glasses, and OK, looks good, yeah. But what if you have a real client, if a real customer? So this is actually, everything that you see, it's AI, even the bottle. But the bottle, the way that we created the workflow, we actually train a LoRa, like I just mentioned before, of the bottle itself. So when we're generating the image, it's keeping all the details. But also, we learn different methods to do upscaling. Because when you do upscaling, you have to control the image so it doesn't dream too much, the AI, right? Because upscaling, that's what they do. So we were successfully able to create these gigantic images and keeping all the essentials of the product. That's what you want. And here's another cool image as well. OK, let's talk about, let me show you a couple of cool projects with sound. Here we go, first one. Right. So pretty much everything was done with, well, most of it, done with different tools with generative AI. Soundtrack was with Suno. I used Griptape to help me prompt a better soundtrack for this type of advertisement little project. So on the far left, you can see only 3 images. That's all I had to do. But then I use, again, Griptape to help me prompt, but also like these different techniques to upscale the image and make it look like almost like photorealistic. After that, I took it to Kling AI. Kling AI is one of the most powerful AI video models, in my personal opinion. After Kling AI, I actually did some upscaling and then put it back into DaVinci Resolve, which is a compositor program. That's when I bring my skills from years of experience in the VFX industry, where you can just plus everything and it looks much better, in my opinion. And by the way, simulation, it's extremely difficult, well, not difficult, but extremely expensive in terms of time with 3D and VFX. Like that simulation of the chocolate, doing the whole calculation probably will take, I don't know, about a couple weeks. Here it took me a couple tries, and it's actually pretty solid. Here's another fun one. Pretty fun, right? Yeah, it's a couple of different projects that is, again, that's what I get goosebumps. I know it sounds crazy, but I am a very emotional person, especially because of my art. But just the emotion that I get when I see the potential that I have now with these amazing tools is just mind-blowing to me. And the way that this works, I'm not going to go back to the whole thing, how I did it, because you kind of had the sense already with different tools. But I do want to show you this graph. So the first one, the far left, is the first image that I created. Then the other images are based from the same image. There is a technique in AI that is called in-painting or out-painting, which is pretty much you grab the original image and you, with a brush, just paint different areas that you want the AI to do a new generation. How am I using Griptape here? Well, again, to keep consistency on the images, you need an LLM to help you guide that, not only the painting part, but also with words, with text. And Griptape, again, is phenomenal with that. So because of that, I ended up creating more frames. And then what I do, I take those frames, Kling AI, because it's just fantastic for simulation and like physics, and ended up making the video, put it again in DaVinci Resolve, and just do some cool camera tricks that I learned. Now, this one that is coming up is actually very cool. It's more like VFX, so this one right here. Oh, yeah, very cool. Now, why this is special? Because I'm mixing different medias here. So the upper left is an actual real video. So it's like, we call it like a live action footage, right? So it's a real video that I got. And then what I'm doing, I'm taking the first frame. You take the first frame, you do some in-painting again, using Griptape to help me describe the new image. But I do 2 in-paints, one just with the airship, the second one just with the explosion. And then I use that with Kling AI, enhanced with prompting, and you generate exactly what you want. Now, to make the whole length of the shot, it's a little more tricky because you have to put it back into DaVinci Resolve and try to match the different frames so it actually stays there. Yeah, pretty cool.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
How much data do you need to train a model?
That's a great question, and we're going to type. So I'll reply that one really quick. You don't need. I mean, it depends. So if you're training like an image, like for instance, when with the bottle, tequila bottle, we train different data sets because I was doing R&D at the same time to see how much resolution we want of the images. But we train a good model with about 18 images, and I wanted to go like beyond. But I have done workflows that you could probably do it with just maybe 6, 7 images. It really depends on the type of project that.
So that's almost nothing.
Yeah, that's why I also get really excited because it's very powerful. Same process. I just wanted to show you some cool different effects with water simulation, but it's about the same process what I have talked before. Now, human emotions. Oh boy, humans, we have a lot of muscles in our face, right? So it's a little bit difficult for AI still to generate those really cool shots. However, with good prompting, it's becoming better. And with Griptape notes, again, you're going to be able to do this when it plays. Play. Also, there is another technique that is called relight. Relight is really cool. With relight, you can generate an image or a video, and just like the word says, you can relight the shot. But it's not like in Photoshop. People who do know Photoshop, it's not like recreating and just do some paint over it. It actually recalculates the light, and it creates a fake depth map of the image to recalculate the light what is coming from, right? So you can do something like this. When you change the lighting, it was also keeping the consistency of the image. That's kind of difficult. Speaking of consistency, in filmmaking, and especially in 3D animation, like 2D animation, there's a process called character creation or character design. To create a character design, there is this thing that is called a character sheet. So there's like different poses of the same character, right? So with generative AI, there's different ways to do it. Now, this character is actually very complex, believe it or not. This is a sneak peek of a personal project that I'm working on about, a very touching topic, child labor. But going back to the generation, why this character is difficult is because it has 2 characters into one, right? So you have a baby and you have a little girl. And the way, in order to create these, usually you can use Comfy UI and have like a technique that is called control net, where you can give the flow different real poses to Comfy UI, or like any model, and it will just generate it for you. But I was surprised that using Griptape, I was able to create better prompting and feed that prompt into a Flux model and actually generate that character sheet without any control net. So again, it's very amazing to me. Speaking of control net, I did use control net then, take the character, We train Alora, and you guys know what Alora is, so you train your own model of the character, and then you can use ControlNet to create different shots of your short film. And that's what I did in here. And we are 27 minutes. Look at that. Awesome. So we have one more video that I would love to share. Right? It's just a sneak peek of what's coming from this little project that I'm working on. Actually, I have one more video, and we do have some time. It's actually the best video. Just to finish everything, again, Griptape Nuts is coming. It's, we have an amazing team. It's a mixed team of very experienced people, engineers, developers, and we also have internal creative people that we're helping. We're just working together. So super excited. And here it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Hope you've had a great time this weekend. I can't believe this is already the last workshop of the entire film festival. And a huge shout out to the festival team for putting together such an amazing event. Well, I'm Tony from the Kling AI team. And in case you don't know, Kling AI, we are an AI video generation platform. And that's it, that's the end of my presentation. Just kidding. Just kidding. In case you don't know, we are actually the world's first mass-accessible AI video generation models launched for everyone. A lot of people know Sora from OpenAI to be the first to launch this tech, but we were actually the first one to bring the product to the market. Back in June 6, 2024, we launched our first model, Model 1.0, and right now we are at 1.6. For those of you who are in the back, you probably can't see any of these in details. It doesn't matter because the individual points here, they're not the point. The point for this slide is to show you the amount of iterations we've been through only within the span of 6 months after we launched. And that really shows you that what an amazing, dedicated team committed to bringing the best product in the market. And for our 1.6 model, I think there are 3 pillars that really makes us stand out among the rest of the competition. First, we offer very superb prompt adherence, making it easier and more accurate for the model to understand your vision and being able to realize that in output. We also offer very fluid and natural movements, basically better physics, making it more realistic in your outputs. And there's also the aesthetics, the cinematic quality from our visuals. And these 3 factors combined, many users have been getting really great results with our 1.6 model, especially with image-to-video generation. And some of the users even said we could be dropping the L in our name. If you can read how that is, dropping the L. Of course, yes. Thank you. So regarding the next model, the next update, I can't say too much about it at this time. However, what I am going to say is it's coming soon, and it won't be a 1.7. So the model capability is only one aspect of the story. We built a product, a platform to empower creators and filmmakers. So here I want to highlight a few features on the platform that I think may benefit a lot of you sitting here. To me, I think one of the key differences between a casual creator versus a filmmaker is the creative control. A casual creator can just get by with decent results that's generated randomly. But for filmmakers, you have a vision to realize, so you definitely need the creative control. First, we have our keyframes, where we can have the transition from one frame to the other. And in fact, you don't have to have both frames. You can have either of the frames, and either starting at a start frame or finishing your transition at the end frame. We also have a separate control of camera movements, first of all, with the fundamental movements like your tilts, pans, rolls. There are also combo movements as presets to choose from. There's also the lip sync feature where you can either use text-to-speech and select your voices and motions to use lip sync, or you can upload your own audio and really use lip sync to bring your character to life. There's also the motion brush feature where you can choose exactly what in frame you want to move and how exactly you want the move to happen. Look at this cat, so random. I think for filmmaking and for storytelling in general, character is the core. You have to have a character in your story. And character consistency is a big topic, a big challenge in AI video generation. And we do have some solutions for this. On our platform, we have a LoRa custom model where you can input your training data, shots of a character from multiple angles doing multiple actions. And then after you train the data, when you're using text-to-video generation, you can call the custom model and have character consistency across different shots, scenes, and styles. And this one's really good. We recently launched the Elements feature, and many users have said this is the game changer. This is one of the best, most powerful tools in the industry right now. The idea is you can upload up to 4 images as quote-unquote elements to include in your scene. And these elements can be a person, an object, or even a place, an environment. And the model will recognize these as subjects to reference, and you can achieve great consistency in the scene for those subjects. You can also create interactions between your subjects. When I was preparing this presentation, I came to realize one thing, which is talking is kind of cheap when it comes to video generation. And I could keep going on and on about our model's capabilities, as well as those features, but I don't think it's going to be convincing enough if I don't show you how Kling AI is actually being used in actual real-life film productions. So back in December 2024, only 6 months after we first launched, we had a very interesting project where we featured 9 renowned directors in China. We paired them up with AI artists, and each team made a short film using Kling AI. Some of them include big names like director Jia Zhangke, which is a winner of the Cannes Film Festival. And today, I have something even more exciting to share with all of you. Loading is not a glitch. This is what it's called. So Loading is going to be world's first fully AI-generated miniseries to be released soon. Think of it as the Love, Death, and Robots. They all have the runtime of about 15 minutes. They're all independent from each other, but they all share the common theme of technology and humanity. And this time, all the scenes in there are made by Kling AI. And all of you here are lucky because, all of you are lucky because today we're going to show one of the full episodes from this miniseries called Martin Syndrome, which is the one in the middle. During our last panel, we talked about the localization aspect of AI filmmaking, and I just want to bring this up because originally, all these series, they were made in Chinese, including Martin Syndrome. However, because of the AI component in this, the studio was able to localize most of the content, including the dialogues, including even some lip syncs. They were able to do that only within a few days so that we can make it on time for premiere at the Austin AI Film Festival. And personally, another comment from me personally is that I had the privilege to watch all of them. And let me just say that they are incredible works regardless of AI. And I think that could be a direction the entire industry is moving towards. Great content first that happen to be made by AI. All right, I think that's enough of me talking.